Welcome back to the JCPod, partner with Stare Down Sports. I'm your host, Jaden Chandler Parnell, and man, Super Wildcard Weekend. Finished. Dunzo. We're on to the divisional round now. Matchups are set. Times are set. It was a wild weekend. A few blowouts happened. I would say overall about, for sure, two good games I genuinely enjoyed watching. I think all of them. There was about probably two that I could have gone without watching. Or three I really enjoyed watching, and the other ones they were all right. It was weirdly somewhat competitive, also somewhat not competitive in some of these games. Just wild, very weird situations. I can't wait to talk about it. Today's gonna be very simple. It's gonna be all division, pretty much all Super Wildcard Weekend talk. A little bit of look ahead of the divisional round after I go over everything. But yeah, without further ado, I guess we could just hop right into it today. Before I get into basically recapping all the action that happened, I'll go over kind of some news and everything. Really good night for me last night. I had a lot of fun when it came to the NFL. Shout out. Oh my. So, last night, I want to get through this right away. First thing I noticed was as soon as the game was over, Jason Kelce was crying on the sideline. Made a lot of people wonder, oh, is he... you saw his emotions. Yep, he's done. And yeah, he's done. Philadelphia Eagles center Jason Kelce told teammates he's retiring after last season. When it comes to this is from Landon Johnson. I love him. He's one of the best to ever play the game. The things he can do on the football field athletically, I don't think we'll see another one like him for a long time. Nick Sirianni said he's special. I love him. He's one of the most special guys I've heard around. Now, we're going to wait. Because there is a chance, obviously, that he comes back next year. He's like, you know what? Actually, I lied. We'll do one more year and then retire. But I won't lie. If you saw how visibly emotional he was at the end of the game, I won't lie. It makes me think that this was probably for sure, too, as the camera's right away. Second game's over. Boom. Flip to Jason Kelce, and you can see how emotional he wasn't crying. I'm pretty sure he's talking to their offensive line coach, and to me, it's like, yeah, that's that it does about, yeah. I was just basically looking at that. It's like, yeah, he's probably going to be done, isn't he? What a great career by Jason Kelce. Honestly, I'm going to have to dedicate some time to that. For it's. I'm not going to do it today, but there's going to be, especially during the summer, we're going to talk about it a little bit. Jason Kelce's one of those guys. Definitely earned some dedicated time to him. That's just wild, man. Shout out to Jason Kelce for real, though. For sure, a Hall of Famer. He went in the 6th round. Played in 193 games, 12 postseasons. And then he was part of the offensive line that won the Super Bowl over the New England Patriots. So he does have a Super Bowl ring. You can't get much of a better career than that one, especially when it comes to center. So thank you, Jason Kelce, and shout out Jason Kelce. Nick Sirianni said he's not worried about his job stats. I won't lie, people are dumb to fire. If they want to fire him after this game, that'd be pretty dumb. Shout out Baker Mayfield, though. Baker Mayfield went off last night. I can't wait to talk about him when we talk about that game. We'll probably go backwards, forwards first, so we'll talk about the night game because there's a lot of things I have because they're just freshest on the mind. Falcons, they interviewed Bill Belichick. That would be an interesting hire. I think that it's probably going to be the Falcons or the Falcons or Cowboys is kind of my final lane. If he wants to win Super Bowls and win that Don Shula record quickly, it's going to be them. If there's a little bit more to the master plan, I could see him going to the Falcons. Let's see. Tomlin leaves presser. Oh, I think Mike Tomlin basically walked out of the presser after hearing he had 1 year left on his contract. Apparently that's what this is. I'm just watching the video right now just to make sure I don't say it totally wrong. I actually didn't see this, yeah. So he just straight up walks off when someone asks him basically about his future. So very interesting what happens in Pittsburgh. It's really weird. I've not to put my friend on the spot, but I was talking to one of my buddies yesterday who's a Steelers fan. He's like, at a certain point, it's like I love the whatever you call it. I love the winning seasons, they're nice and all, but at a certain point, it's like getting bounced in the playoffs in the first round year after year after year after year finally just gets to a point it's like, all right, is it even worth winning anymore? Which is wild to think about if you think about it from the outside if you're a team that hasn't won in forever. But if you're a Steelers fan, it probably is a little bit frustrating that you guys have all these successful seasons, especially with the triple Bs. Ben with Roethlisberger, Le'Veon Bell, all that. Yeah, no, it's just a wild situation, honestly, to think about the Steelers without Mike Tomlin. They've had a bunch of winning seasons. This was probably the most frustrating winning season they've had yet, and yeah, it's wild to think about. I just saw the video of Kelce just popped up again, and I saw, just watching his emotions, you can tell that he's probably, I think it's been in his mind for a while that this is probably going to be his last season. Man, it's just wild. Steelers, George Pickem came out and said they aren't going to win playing the Bills and the refs. That's hilarious. Jim Harbaugh interviewed with the Chargers. Don't know what that really means. I don't know if he. I still don't know. Yeah, like I said, Jim Harbaugh interviewed with the Chargers. I don't know if he's actually gonna end up going there or not, but I don't know. The more I think about it, the more it feels like he might actually go back to Michigan. Honestly, there might be more benefits from him there, especially when it comes to Chargers. But at the same time, it's like, does he want to come back to the NFL and win the Super Bowl now? That's basically what it comes down to, the big question. Dan Quinn apparently has been requested to interview with the Seahawks. The Seahawks have also asked to interview Miami's offensive coordinator, Frank Smith, Carolina's defensive coordinator, Ejiro Evero. Ooh, I probably butchered that. Apologies if I did. New York Giants offensive coordinator, Mike Kafka, Raheem Morris, the defensive coordinator for the Rams, and then the Las Vegas Raiders defensive coordinator, Patrick Graham. Those are all interviews happening through the Seahawks. My personal lean, if I had to give that list, it'd probably be Dan Quinn, because Dan Quinn's probably the most, I think he was there with the Legion of Boone, so he's the most familiar with him, even though it's been a while. And it sounds like that a lot of the people want him to come in. It also sounds like he waited like last year. I think it was Ian Rappaport, or apologies, there's just noise going on everywhere. Like, back to what I was saying, sorry, I had to cut something off real quick because there was just a bunch of background noise. Dan Quinn, he apparently has been waiting for the Seattle Seahawks job, is the rumor. I don't know if it's Ian Rappaport or Adam Schefter that said it, but one of the two said it, so it's going to be interesting to see. Caleb Williams, going pro. That's not too shocking, honestly. Sorry, I was just trying to read. Apparently, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Is it Martin Luther? I guess it's the third, technically, because Jr. is a yeah. Martin Luther King III and his family, they were honorary captains for the Tampa Bay Bucks last night. Genuinely thought that was awesome. Because, I mean, NFL announced something, too, that they're committing to something for the King family as well. I just want to make sure to see if I missed anything important. This is the first time that the King family has helped commemorate Martin Luther King Jr. Day at an NFL game, so this is awesome that the NFL took a chance to do it. Shout out to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers being the ones to be like, yeah, we'll let them be captains. Because, I mean, there's something special about being an NFL playoff captain, especially on those teams. Like, I'm sure a lot of those players would have loved the opportunity, but shout out to them for giving it up for a bigger reason. That's truly awesome. And shout out to the King Juniors. Shout out to Martin Luther King, by the way, and happy Martin Luther King Jr. Day, a day belated. It's funny, Hurt's unhappy with the direction of Eagles' offense. This came out 21 hours ago. Really convenient after what you see what happened last night. Offensively, they just seemed to have a lot of struggles last night. The snow, by the way, at the Buffalo game was insane. They were showing videos of fans just walking through that snow in some of the seats. That was ridiculous, I'm not going to lie. Shout out to Lions. Lions big win. I can't wait to talk about that game as well. If you saw the Lions GM after the win, I mean, just seeing how a lot of the Lions fans react and everything, that's awesome. Puka Nacua set a rookie record in the playoffs, 182 receptions, or 182 receiving yards. I mean, he absolutely just torched. Most receptions in the season, most receiving yards in the season, most receiving yards in a playoff game. Pretty good year from Puka Nacua, I'd say. Just sucks that there's a guy named C.J. Stroud that's going to be taking over, pretty much, and probably winning Rookie of the Year because, C.J. Stroud's a stud. LaFleur says that there's a different energy after the playoff win for the Packers. I can't wait to talk about that game, too. That was a shocking performance by the Packers. That made me be like, all right. Cowboys, Jerry Jones floored after the playoffs loss from the Packers. Not shocking there at all. I'll talk about my thoughts in the game here in a second. By the way, Jared Goff's name getting chanted when he's running out of the stadium was something awesome to see. If you got a chance to watch or listen to it, it was truly awesome. Yeah, that might be it. Stefanski confident Watson will be ready to roll by spring. Will he play all season? No, at this point, I don't know, man. I'm kind of all out on the Browns. I can't wait to talk about that. Packers and loves to work on a new extension in the offseason. Well deserved. Tua has full trust in himself, according to him. The icicles on Andy's mustache were hilarious. Apparently, I think it came out before the game that Tomlin was going to decide his future with the Steelers after the game. I won't lie. I would not be shocked if he'd won out at this point. Because, at a certain point, don't get me wrong. He's had a non-stop winning season for them, done really good. He's been really good, and it's hard to win in the NFL. It truly is really hard to win in the NFL. Probably gets a little tired, and everyone's like, so, are you going to be here next year? You going to be here next year? Especially when you've done so much for the franchise. It probably is getting to him a little bit. So I wouldn't be shocked to see him moving on, but I don't think he probably will. I think it'd be insane to move on from Tomlin, especially with that much winning. I mean, they just need a rebuild. That's really what it is. They've been stuck in the mix of they've been in like a half rebuild, holding on to the old guys. They just need to. It sucks to say it, but with Tomlin there, I don't think they're going to try to ruin his record. One of these years, they do need to have like a 4-13 year, so they can get some good draft picks, good draft. I was trying to think of the word. I was going to say products, but it's not products. Good draft. I can't think. I was going to say items as well. I don't know why I can't think of the good draft packages. Maybe is a better way to put it. Either way, they just need to work on it so they can actually build some stuff up. Commanders are targeting Ben Johnson as their top choice for head coach. Head C. That's hilarious. Max Crosby's going to explore a trade if AP isn't the coach, which AP is Antonio Pierce. I would not be shocked. I mean, they got to hire him, right? Right. Pete Carroll came out and said the change that was made from him at head coach wasn't made by football people, which that is going to be really interesting because him saying that makes me wonder, is he going to try to go and coach somewhere else? Because that would be very interesting to see. I think he still wants to coach, so I would not be shocked if he wants to go somewhere else, but it'd just be weird to see Pete Carroll somewhere else. Mark Andrews is returning from his ankle injury. It's going to be interesting to see what happens when he comes back, to see if he even comes back first off. Because I'm assuming they don't want to rush him back, with especially how well they've been playing. But he's a big weapon. This was the big one I wanted to end with. I think this is the last thing I really need to talk about. Marvin Harrison Jr. declared for the draft as well. That's not it, though. Yep. All right, here we go. So the last bit of news I want to talk about. Gerard Mayo, the new New England Patriots head coach. I won't lie. When the Vrabel news came out, I thought it might be something because this was originally the plan from all along. So this is why I'm not too shocked it happened. The original plan was always that Gerard Mayo was going to be the guy that succeeded Bill Belichick. Apparently, it's come out now for sure that was like he's going to get close to the win record this year, set the win record next year with the Patriots, and then move on. But that just didn't happen. They had a really bad this year, so they kind of kicked everything down. They said basically kicked their plan to the side, be like, all right, we're going to have to move on from you now, Belichick. Gerard Mayo, you're going to become the guy. It's just shocking because, like, Vrabel's out there. Pete Carroll's out there. I know they aren't going to get him, but Vrabel's the big one. I thought Vrabel was going to potentially be a Patriot, but now after seeing this, they stuck to their guns. I give them a lot of credit for it because this was the plan originally. And, yeah, just shout out to the Patriots, man. This is going to be interesting. Gerard Mayo. It's going to be very interesting. See, now he's starting to slowly fill out his staff. That started yesterday. I am very excited to see what this team does moving forward. Very excited to see what they do. Okay, break that. We're good with the end of it. That's pretty much all the news. Nothing too much big, major happened. So we're going to go to the game breakdowns. We're just going to bounce around a little bit because some of these games didn't matter as much as others. So I want to talk about, like, for example, that Bucs game I want to talk about a little bit more. So we're going to start with this Texans-Brown games because we're going to start with the Saturday games because I can pretty much go through Saturday games real quick. 45-14. Texans destroy the Browns. Offensive line didn't do too well for Joe Flacco. Didn't protect the best. Their defense, 16-point worse on the road. I don't know why I just overlooked that completely. I just completely overlooked that, and you could tell their defense got destroyed that game. It doesn't help also that Joe Flacco, back-to-back plays with the pick six. That pretty much, after that happened, I mean, you just watched the Browns quit, which is something really sad to see. That really bothers me, too. I mean, I understand that you guys are down by a lot at that point, but just to blatantly quit after that, seeing that, it's kind of like, okay, I get, like, it's towards the end of the season, you're pretty frustrated with how that game's going, but to quit like that kind of showed me a little bit about the Browns, like, all right, good to know. Like, I already felt kind of like a doofus and a goofy ball, talking about how I wanted to take the Browns -2 and all that. And then after seeing their performance, it made me feel even worse. Like, these boys are quitting now. All right, yep, that's what I get for taking the -2. But that's not about that. We're talking about C.J. Stroud, man. C.J. Stroud. That dude's kind of a stud. 274 passing, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions, 16 for 21. Pretty nice. Joe Flacco had 34 for 46, 307, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions. Devin Singletary, 66 yards on the ground. Njoku had 7 for 93. Nico Collins had 6 for 96. Back-to-back amazing games for Nico Collins. Shout out. I mean, this is just, I won't lie, this is just straight up ass kicking by the Texans. The Texans came with that energy and came to play, and you can tell. This just hurts my heart so much because all I'm thinking about is the Colts. Like, man, bro, if the Colts could have won that game. I honestly think they do something probably very similar to Cleveland. I don't know if it's a complete blowout like this, but I still think they win. I think the Colts easily could have put up 30 on this team because they did it during the regular season. It took Myles Garrett winning the game for them for it to happen. He had a safety, blocked a field goal. I think he had another stack or two as well. Myles Garrett basically accounted for taking a whole touchdown away from the Colts points-wise. And then it still came down to the refs kind of handing the Browns something towards the end of the game with 2 bullshit flags in the end zone. But regardless, yeah, could have been the Colts. Hate to see it, but regardless, I'm happy to see C.J. Stroud do so good. He is putting a cement on one of the best rookie seasons of all time, which is crazy because I just talked about Puka Nacua, what he's done receiving-wise. Yeah, there's a guy in Houston that's doing just slightly a little bit better than him. And shout out to C.J. Stroud for real because, man, him and DeMeco Ryans are fun. I mean, that is a fun team. And it just, the biggest thing that is awesome is they don't have a run game. They just genuinely do not have a run game at all. The run game is not very effective. If you take away 2 big runs that, what's his name? Sorry. Devin Singletary took. He had 13 carries. If you take away 2 big runs, this is going to be very nitpicky, but if you take away 2 runs from him, he averaged 5.1 a carry. Take away 2 of those runs, he had like a 29-yarder he ripped off and another 20-yarder. I mean, he's averaging like 11 for 30 or something like that. Like, this dude, he's not been averaging very many running yards on the year. I mean, Dameon Pierce was their beginning guy at the beginning of the year, and they basically just took him away. And they put in Devin Singletary, who's been not much better, but somewhat better. So, I mean, they just have had no game to talk about, and shout out to TJ Stroud because he's had to pass a lot more, and he's made it look really good doing it. The biggest thing, too, the Browns just went away from the run really, really early, it felt like, and they were just able not to go back to it. And then at a certain point, they just fell down the game so bad. I did not like any of the play calling that Kevin Stefanski did all that game. It's hard to set up the play action when you don't run the ball at all. Yeah, just I was not happy with what I saw from Kevin Stefanski. That really bothered me at the Browns. Watching that game was kind of like, oh, damn, all right, so the Browns are going to be the Browns, huh? I mean, to be fair, too, they did go through a lot of injury. I think if they have Nick Chubb in that game, it's probably a little bit different, obviously. But also, they would probably have Deshaun Watson if injuries weren't the case, and I don't know if Deshaun Watson would be able to take them all the way there. Very interesting how this Cleveland Browns team is going to go now because they were going to keep Joe Flacco after the game he just had. So it's very interesting to see if Joe Flacco, I won't lie, having that bad of a game is kind of like, It's not on him, like I said. It's not on him. The offensive line could have done better. The play calling was not the best. But seeing a game like that, it's going to make you wonder if the team's going to try to pick him up now, or if he's just going to be going back to a backup. Next game, we'll talk about Chiefs Dolphins. I'm very excited about this. Shout out to me and my boy Rowan. All over this game. If you checked out Captain by a Hook on Friday, we came out and we said, Dolphins are just going to go 0 points. It's going to be way too cold for them. One of the fourth coldest game in the NFL history. But we talked about how, hey, they aren't going to score any points. We're going to take them for 0. Dolphins 0 points. That was Rowan's lock of the day that he absolutely loved. I was all over it with him. Then right before kickoff, like I said, if you checked into Captain by a Hook, we were talking about it. I said, man, the only way this gets busted up is Tyreek Hill's going to catch a deep ball and he's going to absolutely ruin it. So I sat there before game time. I'm like, you know what? We're going to take Dolphins plus 7 just in case. Plus 2,200. Put 10 to win 220. Something very small. I had 20 to win 880, I think it was for the 0. So I was all in on the 0. I'm like, you know what? Just in case, I'll take a little insurance policy, put it on the 7. Sitting there watching this game, of course, watching Dolphins absolutely do nothing basically the whole game so far. It's like, all right, here we go. And then the second quarter, basically right away, Tyreek Hill, 53-yard touchdown because of a pass, basically a mixed pass. 2 underthrows him. Tyreek Hill runs past the DB, 2 underthrows him. The DB runs Tyreek, fouls him. Tyreek catches it, breaks off 3 tackles, scores a touchdown. Honestly, it was really sad. You're sitting there, it's like, man, of course. Because, of course, that was the only score of the game. So shout out my boy Rowan and I all over it reading this game. Biggest thing that sucks for Kansas City is they were held to a lot of field goals. They could have finished some of these drives like 28-yarder, 26-yarder, 32-yarder, 21-yarder. The biggest thing was just finishing the drives. That's my biggest fear for them going into next week versus Buffalo. But, the Chiefs did everything they needed to do. I can't take too much away. My only complaint for them is they didn't finish drives and touchdowns. Past that, they played, I thought, about as good as you can play. Kelce had a few drops, so that did bother me a little bit. But overall, other people picked up the slack. Pacheco, 24 carries for 89 and a touchdown, running all over them boys. Rashee Rice, 8 receptions for 130 and a touchdown. Rashee Rice was absolutely going off. Travis Kelce had 71 receiving yards, so he still had a good game. Like I said, he just had 2. I'd say there was 2 drops that he had that were pretty bad. Other than that, everything else was kind of reasonable. Raheem Mostert, 33 yards rushing. Tyreek Hill had 65 for 62 and that 1 touchdown in his return to Kansas City. Tua only had 199 passing yards. I won't lie, this one of the few games all weekend that I felt like I called pretty well. When you go into the game, just going into the game, especially once you realize how cold it was, I don't know if the Dolphins are going to want to. And if you saw about Well, I think after that Tyreek Hill, about halfway through the second quarter, towards the beginning of the third, I think the Dolphins kind of realized, like, yeah, let's just get home, man. It's way too damn cold. We ain't coming back. We ain't doing anything. Injuries, honestly, 2 injuries just got them 2 bits. The defense eventually was too many injuries to them. The offense was kind of banged up all year. Tua just not having, I don't want to say he's not athletic, but man, I saw a video from Tua with the Dolphins just like legit. Like 2-3 years ago before he had to put on this weight, and man, dude, he was so athletic. Taking away some of his athleticism, I think, has killed this team a little bit. It's going to be interesting seeing what they're going forward next year, because, I mean, they won 1 game against a team above 500. They have, and it sucks because there's nothing you can really change. I mean, you can maybe make the defense a little better, take away the injuries, but, I mean, they got a star-studded offense. Defense, they got some big names on it. It's going to come down to the quarterback play. Because, like I said, there's nothing you can really change on this team. I mean, obviously, if you're a Dolphins fan, you know the exact points, like, oh, we need a cornerback 3, we need a right guard, we need a third running back for this situation. Like, there's stuff like that you guys know that I don't, obviously, only being a casual fan of your team. But it feels like they aren't missing too much. It just comes down to the quarterback play, and Tua didn't play the best, and it kind of showed. I mean, Patrick Mahomes came out throwing. The Chiefs looked comfortable. They came out throwing, doing all that. Tua and them, yeah, it just did not look the same. But shout out, I mean, I won't lie. 10 to win 220 on this game. It was, won a decent amount of the Pacheco rushing, so it was a great way to end the night. Going into Sunday, we were chilling. I was very excited. Now we're into the Sunday games. I was going to order. We're already there. So, you know, we're just, had to go, we're just sitting there waiting for this game to start. Man, 27-0. Cowboys down, and then all of a sudden they make it 27-7. 41-16 was the true score. The final score is 48-32. The final score is 48-32. The true score, 41-16. At one point, it's 41-16. Cowboys getting that ass handed to them. Aaron Jones had, Dak Prescott had 2 pick sixes. It was almost back. It was almost back to back too. No, it wasn't. They were decently spread out. I just can't. Unbelievable. Aaron Jones, 3 touchdowns, over 100 on the ground. NBA Jam, done it 4 weeks in a row. 21 carries, 118. C.D. Pollard had 15 carries for 56 and a touchdown. Shout out to Jake Ferguson, 10 for 93 and 3 touchdowns. His best game as a pro yet. Just sucks he came in a loss. Romeo Doubs, 6 for 151 and a touchdown. Seemed like anytime Jordan Love needed a big play, Romeo Doubs was wide open. Yeah, I'm not going to lie. Jordan Love might be a guy. Like C.J. Stroud is a guy. Jordan Love might be a guy, too. Watching him, man, you just see the Aaron Rodgers mannerisms and some of his steps, some of the throws, some of the shoulder stuff he does, some of the angles he hits. I mean, just the poise and command. I mean, I hate to say it, but I genuinely feel like I'm watching. I know it's not Aaron Rodgers, but I feel like I'm watching, like, it's almost like he left a part of, like, he broke off a part of him from his body. Like, kind of like Groot from the, like, Marvel and all that. He kind of broke a piece off of his body. He's gone and everything, and this piece of Groot, this piece of Aaron Rodgers is growing up, and it's becoming its own thing, its own version of it. Because if you watch, he has a lot of the mannerisms. I'm just genuinely so impressed by Jordan Love. First playoff game forever, and I mean, the kid just shows poise in it. Shows absolute poise. Now, will they beat the 49ers? We'll talk about that later, but I know it's also the Cowboys, too. It's always the Cowboys, but, man, the Packers, 3 wins in AT&T Stadium. The Cowboys, 2 playoff wins. Packers have more playoff wins in AT&T Stadium than the Cowboys do. That is wild to think about. Like I said, though, Jordan Love had an amazing game. I was very impressed with what I saw from him. It felt like anytime they needed a big throw, he was making the big throw. They had guys wide open. They had that defense flustered, man. And then especially defense. I give a real shout out to the Packers defense, man. I've been calling them out all year. There's been a few Packers fans that have been calling them out for how big butt booty trash they've been, especially when it comes to the run game. They shut down the run. The too high safety look made Dak very, very uncomfortable, which, I mean, you would think you would see with, like, you know, the 49ers, the Eagles when they had a good defense, like teams like that. The Packers got him with that too high safety look. I mean, Dak didn't look comfortable for the whole game. It took him basically towards the end of the game to stat pad a little bit. I saw somebody in a YouTube comment I was in there like, stat pat Dak, back at it again. But if you do look at it, though, I mean, it was kind of a little bit of stat padding. Because, like I said, 41-16 was a true score about, like, a little bit towards the end of the third quarter, and then they ended up scoring a lot of touchdowns late. I was just genuinely impressed by this Packer team. I mean, they imposed their will. But the biggest story is, of course, I wanted to give my shout out to the Packers before I went to this. But, of course, the biggest story is Big Mike out? Is Dak out? What does Jerry do? biggest question, what does Jerry do? I came out at the beginning of the year, which is hilarious because I won't lie. I took it on the shins a good amount by some people for saying, like, oh, the Cowboys and Dak and Big Mike, I mean, they're eventually going to have to move on from them, I think, after this season. Took it on the shins hard. I'll admit, I was wrong. I did not see the Dak Prescott contract situation where they... But yeah, no, what I was saying... Sorry, I got another interruption, so I'm going to try to... Kind of forgot where I was at, but I kind of remember the point I was making. Like I said, I was taking on the shins so bad for saying, like, oh, they need to move on from Dak and Mike McCarthy. And it's not saying, like, they aren't good. So I think Big Mike's a great coach. 12-5 is really, really impressive. Dak Prescott had an MVP almost like season. He had a really good season. It's just for whatever reason. First off, it's the Cowboys. I mean, with the Cowboys, they always seem to make moves, especially with Jerry getting as old as he is. But second off, it's just you can only hit your head against the wall so many times before you just lose it. I think it's to the point where Jerry's probably just hit his head against the wall too many times. He's like, you know what? I can't take it anymore. We need some change. Like, that's where I got to the point at the beginning of the year, so that's why I was saying it. Took it on the shins for a little bit. Now, after this first playoff loss, kind of coming out of the woods on that point again. Will it be Dak? Probably not because of his contract, but Big Mike potentially could be gone, I think. I wouldn't be shocked if they don't fire him because, like I said, he's had some really good seasons there. It's just the playoff things. The only reason I can see him being gone is Jerry's just sick of losing in the first round of the playoffs after having good regular seasons. So he's just finally to the point he's like, you know what? Screw it. Bring in Bill Belichick. But if Bill Belichick comes in, it's going to come down to having some control over stuff and everything. So we're going to have to see. But I definitely think there's potentially going to be some changes made in Dallas. Maybe Dan Quinn becomes the head coach. He said, screw it. Instead of going to Seattle, let me become the head coach of the Cowboys. I definitely think there's going to be some movement, though, in the Cowboys this offseason. Either Dan Quinn or Mike McCarthy. One of those two won't be back. Wouldn't be shocked if neither of those two end up coming back. So that leads us into the night game. Woo! Rams, Lions, baby. This was honestly a really, really exciting and fun game to watch. This was probably the best game of the weekend. It was back and forth the whole game. Basically came down to red zone versus red zone. The Lions were able to get 3 or 4 touchdowns in the red zone. The Rams had to settle for field goals. It felt like, I won't lie, it felt like the Rams did a lot of the things that I thought the Lions were going to do personally. Like, you thought the Lions might come out a little bit nervous, make some mistakes, waste timeouts, not getting onto the ball fast enough. That was all stuff that the Rams did. Came down to, like I said, the Rams kept getting in the red zone. The Rams realistically should have won this game. They got into the red zone, I think, an extra 2 or 3 times more than the Lions. They just had to kick field goals every single time. That Lions defense just held strong, which is awesome to say. Lions get their first win since 1991. First playoff win since 1991. That was honestly a truly awesome atmosphere to win. That's probably the first time in a while I haven't been mad to lose about like $90 on a bet. I think I had close to 90 or 100 on the Rams on the money line. Still had the plus 3-2, obviously, so I was happy with that. But I mean, that was something I couldn't even be mad about watching the Lions win. It's like, man, that was truly, genuinely awesome to see. I honestly still feel like the Rams should have won that game. They kind of shot themselves in the foot a lot, but hey, a win's a win, and now the Lions did basically feast on the Bucs potentially, depending on how injury riddled the Bucs are. But hey, Detroit gets to host 2 home playoff games. If you would have told me that coming into this season, might have believed you a little bit more. You would have told me that a year or 2 ago. Hell no, not a chance. This is awesome. This is special stuff. Both running backs for the Lions end up scoring as well. Sam Laporta even gets into the end zone as well. So the 3 guys who have been the biggest for them all season get in. The only guy who missed the party is Amon-Ra, who had 7 for 110. Like I said, Puka had 9 for 182 and 1. He went absolutely off, had an amazing game. Jared Goff, 22 for 27, 277 and 1. Matt Stafford, 25 for 36, 367 and 2. Both good games by the quarterbacks. No turnovers in this game. A very, very clean game by both sides, but also means the defense couldn't stop anybody, which is very, very adamant, especially for the Rams defense. Rams defense finally got some stops towards the middle of the game, but when it mattered most, most of the times they were not getting stops. So that's going to be the one thing to look forward to with the Rams. The Rams are going to be a really good team next year. They're going to be a really good team next year. They just got to get some stuff fixed. Defensively, just get some more. They got some more. They added another year of veteranship to most of their DBs, and most of their defense were really young. They only had 2 guys returning from the Super Bowl, and they went to Super Bowl like 3 years ago. So their defense is very young, very different. Seriously, shout out to the Rams, though. They were at least competitive. This was a really fun game to watch. I felt like, and the Lions truly earned that win. The Lions felt like they had every chance to give it away, and they just tried to, and they just wouldn't give it away. They just kept hanging in there, and they ended up winning close. And now I'm very excited to see what the games happen next week. We can go over this one quickly. Buffalo Bills, Pittsburgh. It was awesome. Going into Monday now, those were 2 Sunday games. Going into Monday, I was very happy. Won a lot of money yesterday. We can get into it a little bit more. I got no touchdown scores right on this game, though. I'll admit I had Najee, Pat Freiermuth. And it went. I wish I took Calvin Austin. I almost did. Held off him. He ends up scoring as well. Both of the tight ends scored in the first quarter. First time in playoff history that 2 tight ends have scored from a team. Shout out Kincaid and Knox. But yeah, 31-17. This game was a little bit closer for a bit, but I mean, I won't lie. The spread at one point was 30. It was a 30-point spread. The Bills went up 21-0, and then basically the scoring. The Bills went up 21-0, and then both teams basically scored 17 to end it. Or I guess for the Bills' case it'd be 10. But yeah, if you look at the second, third, and fourth quarters, it's 7-3-7 for both teams. The big killer was the Bills in the first quarter just came out to a hot start. And I mean, this is gonna be a good match between them and the Chiefs. Josh Allen had 3 touchdowns. His rushing was the big thing. Josh Allen had. Sorry, I'm trying to. I thought they would have its stats up here. They did not have it. He had 8 rushes for 74 yards and a touchdown, and he ripped a long 52-yarder rushing. He truly awesome. That was honestly awesome to watch from the Bills. That was a game where it's like, all right, here we go, Bills. It just sucks because it felt like the Bills should have just blown them out of the water and just got that game over with. But they let the Steelers hang around for a little bit in the middle of the game. I wouldn't say it was ever like in threat because the Steelers were down about 10-14 most of the game. But it was one of the situations like, man, if you could just score 1 or 2 more touchdowns, Buffalo, you can get these guys out of here, put them in the dirt. And they just couldn't They just couldn't put them away, and then finally at the end, they just got 31-17. I mean, they won by more than enough. They obviously covered. It's just, man, when they went up 21-0, it felt like, okay, you guys just make this a quick little 35-0, and then we're good. Like, do very similar to what the Packers did, but they let the Steelers hang in it for just a little longer, like I said. Regardless, though, big win by the Bills. I was talking about a little bit earlier with Tomlin. There should be questions now who the Steelers coach is going to be. I think it still has. I still think it's going to be Tomlin until I'm given something otherwise that says no. He at least has 1 more year on the contract, like I said, too, so they're probably at least going to finish out the year. Big thing moving on from Buffalo now. We're going to talk about in a minute. Buffalo, Kansas City. A renewal of that rivalry. This time it's in Buffalo. Patrick Mahomes' first ever road game in the playoffs. Yeah, it's going to be nice. All right, and this takes us into the shocking game of the week. Bucks, 32. Eagles, 9? This was an absolutely insane game. I can just take you through my process of watching the game pretty much. Once the Bucks took the opening field goal, I watched them first drive. The Bucks dominated, marched right down the field, first drive, get a field goal. Eagles at the punt. Baker Mayfield throws a little slant or whatever, comeback, whatever it is, to David Moore. So I'm sitting there. It's like, you know what? I'm going to bet this guy David Moore to score. His odds were massive. I'm like plus 1,600. I threw like 15 or 20 on it. I'm like, you know what? I really like the odds for this guy to score. Just wait, basically on that one play. I'm like, if he's getting time in the game, there's a chance if this game gets ugly, let me get a long shot in. Literally, I think next play, like 2 or 3 minutes later, so like literally a play or two later, he breaks this long 44-yard run, zagging in and out of everybody. I'm losing my mind. It's like, oh yeah, it might be one of them nights. And then we were just watching. I placed a few more. Then later on, Dallas Carter ends up scoring a touchdown. Ended up having a little bit on him as well. So it's like, all right, here we go. So just like that, I hit a 15 for 262, hit a 20 for 69. It's like, all right, here we go. We're starting to ball out a little bit. And then the one that, then third quarter, they get a safety. Once the Bucks got the safety here, that's personally for me when it's like, okay, this game might be starting to get out of reach a little bit. Because the Eagles at least kept it close going into half. Going into half, it was 16-9. You're like, all right, the Eagles might be able to stand a chance. They might be able to do something here. Keep it close. And then it became all Bucks. Baker Mayfield makes another big play to Trey Palmer. I mean, they just destroyed them with the big plays against their DBs. Mike Evans, oh, man, that boy breaks my heart, bro. He dropped 2 touchdowns pretty much. 2 long balls, 2 bombs that pretty much you could probably run for touchdowns, drops them both. Hurt my heart, boy, I tell you what. But shout out to Trey Palmer. Trey Palmer scoring a long touchdown. I had him 20 for 180. Woo! I'll admit, though, I missed his Godwin one. I had Rashad White and Mike Evans by that point, and K. Dotton. Those were the 3 ones I had by the end of the game. I missed Godwin, so it makes me sad. But, man, the Bucks were all over the Eagles. No A.J. Brown. They just looked absolutely horrendous. Man, I won't lie to you. I had a night last night when it came to the sports gambling. It was truly awesome. Truly awesome. Loved this awesome Super Wildcard weekend when it came to that. But, man, Baker, 22 for 36, 337, and 3. Woo! Rashad White, 18 for 72. Woo! And here we go. David Moore, 2 for 66 and a touchdown. I mean, if you go across the receiving, David K-Dot, 8 for 89. David Moore, 2 for 66. Trey Palmer, 1 for 56 and a touchdown. Godwin, 4 for 45 a touchdown. I mean, this team just absolutely, the Bucks actually showed out. The Eagles, I said before the game to my Steelers buddy, it's like, man, I just can't take this team with Matt Patricia as their defensive coordinator. It feels like they kind of gave up the season when they did that. Their defense was one of the worst. You can tell they're missing Shane Steichen and Jonathan Gannon. You can tell that they definitely were missing them. If you watch their play on both sides of the season, they looked like they had a lot of the same players and looked completely different. Their defense looked in absolute shambles, especially. They just got torched over the top by all these receivers. I mean, these receivers, they're missing some tackles, too. That was the biggest reason the Rams lost that game against the Lions, was they just missed a shit ton of tackles. They were just missing. They're letting Gibbs make like 2, 3, 4 guys miss. Same thing with the Bucks. The Bucks were making like 2 guys miss, and then they were getting tired. Like, they were doing everything right that they needed to do. So shout out for real to the Bucks, man. Huge, awesome win. The Bucks move on. The Bills move on. The Packers move on. The Lions move on. The Chiefs move on. The Texans move on. We got only one true road win. It was the Packers. Upset-wise, I would say that's 2 upsets. We had 2 upsets this weekend. Not bad at all. 3 upsets if you count the Texans. So there's 3 upsets this weekend between the Texans, Packers, and Bucks. I would say ranking them in order of shocking upsets, I think it had to be Packers 1 with how bad that... Packers 1, Bucks 2, Texans 3. Just because the Texans was probably more likely of all 3 of them. As for the Bucks 1, it was just shocking to see how good Baker was and how much they flattened the Eagles. It's crazy, though. It's going to be awesome that Jalen Hurts' whole career is going to be surrounded by the Bucks. I mean, he played them in his rookie year when they lost to Tom Brady. He played them the next year after that when they would go to the Super Bowl. Play them this year now. I mean, somehow that Bucks team and the Eagles always match up in the playoffs. That's going to be a fun little rivalry to look back at the beginning when we look at Jalen Hurts' career from the future. But yeah, I think that's going to do it for now. I don't think there's anything too much more to talk about. We talked about all the news. We broke down every single game pretty much. Moving on to Divisional. Saturday, you got Texans-Ravens at 4:30. 49ers-Packers at 8:15. That's on Saturday and Sunday. Bucks-Lions at 3. And then you got Chiefs-Bills at 6:30. Man, I cannot wait. I am beyond ecstatic about these games. That's going to be really, really fun. Can't wait to watch them. Just sucks that the football season's already winding to the end. It's really sad, man. It truly is. That we're already like 4 games. We got 4 games. And the next week we have 2 games. And then we get a break off, and then we got 1 game. We have 7 games left in the NFL season. Not counting any of that Pro Bowl stuff and all that. We got 7 games left. Man. But thank you all for watching. Thank you all for the support. I truly do appreciate it. That's probably going to do it for today. Moving on to Thursday, I'm pretty much just going to break down all these games, everything I like about them. Because my quick breakdowns, I'm for sure taking the... I'm going to for sure probably be taking the Bucks plus 6, I think. But I don't know. I think the Lions already destroyed the Bucks in Tampa earlier this season. I mean, they absolutely... it's 20-6, but they handled the hell out of this team, so it's going to be interesting. Bills-Chiefs, I got to take Chiefs in this one. Even though Buffalo did win the previous matchup, I have to take the Chiefs, I think, just because I just can't take Buffalo in that matchup. I don't know what it is. Ravens are 9-point favorites. That makes me lean towards the Texans. It's going to be a fun one to watch. For sure, got to take the 49ers. Like I said, though, I'm going to break down all this on a Thursday, go into it more, give away some of the bets. Look for some NBA jams. Look for stuff that, some mid stuff. The next 2 days, I'm pretty much going to be just working on what can I find to take advantage of these games. That's going to be the goal. And then, Thursday, so that's what Thursday is. We're going to be breaking down all these games, talk about that. Friday, assuming my boy is good, that's going to start becoming a series. I dropped it on you by surprise this week. Hopefully it should start becoming more of a thing. Friday Hoops, we're going to just talk some college basketball with my boy on Fridays leading up to March Madness and throughout March Madness if he's still available and wants to hop on. And then, it's crazy. Like I said, we got 7 games. We basically got 26 days. 26 days until the Super Bowl. We got to bask in every day that we can. Because seriously, we're about to be on to another season of NFL football already. It's sad because we got about 250 some days until week 1. I mean, it's crazy. We're already about to be in that drought again. So we got to take advantage. Love every moment when we can. Enjoy this. But thank you all for watching for real. Really do appreciate all the support. I'll see everyone back on this feed on Thursday for my breakdowns on the divisional round of playoff games.